Welcome to the second view from the Ninian of the season, where we're celebrating another fantastic week of football as Cardiff City lost 5-0 to Burnley at Turf Moor. We're going global this week, as well as Tom Phillips joining us from the other side of the world. Ryan is joining us from the other side of the world. Ryan March stepping in for Ben Price this week. Tom Phillips, how's Australia?
Yeah, it's still there, and I'm still there with it. So, yeah, good, thanks.
Ryan March, do you want to tell the listeners where you are?
Currently in Mason, Ohio, a few miles north of Cincinnati. Glamorous place, as you would imagine.
Yeah, well, and I'm just here at home, which is kind of boring, but better than Cincinnati, I imagine. We have gummy clusters here for one. We might as well start at the start, Tom Phillips. Burnley yesterday. Turf Moor, never normally a happy hunting ground, but yesterday it was even less happy with a 5-0 loss to Burnley. Well then, what was your reaction to
that? First of all, I fell asleep half hour before kickoff, and then woke up as the fifth goal went in. So it was really bleak from my point of view. And then I was going to look up when was the last time we lost 5-0 in the Championship. And then I was like, no, that's actually really depressing. And I can't be asked. Because as a result, it's an absolute horror, isn't it? A 5-0, 4-0 is kind of palatable. But when you see 5, there's something about that number that tips it over the edge from a hammering into embarrassing. And, I was getting texts off people like, oh, I hope you're okay. Hope you haven't seen the result, pal. Hope you were asleep through it and stuff like that. It's like 5-0 is a proper stinker of a result. I don't care who you're playing.
I think it was Sheffield Wednesday in 2021 we lost 5-0. Someone tweeted that. I can't remember where I saw the tweet. Ryan, let's start with the first goal. I mean, it started badly and went downhill from there, didn't it? Ethan Horvath, with his long arms, couldn't do anything about a very simple back pass. It felt very uncharacteristic of him, didn't it, to make that sort of error?
Yeah, and it's one of them. I've watched it back quite a few times to try and sort of like find a way to analyze it and sort of see what went wrong. Was it overconfidence? Was it complacency? Was it incompetence? Was it? I don't know, but I just think it's one of those freak things that happens to a goalkeeper once, maybe twice in their career. Danny Ward in Czech Republic, 2021 springs to mind. Same thing happened. It's one of them. It's just unfortunate that it can happen. And I guess it's down to the goalkeeper to not let it sort of rattle them too much and ruin the game, and hopefully not ruin the rest of their season or whatever. But you can clearly see from the rest of the game that Horvath was just rattled by it. He was completely uneasy from that moment. And I don't know if the defense becomes uneasy as well. It's just one of those things that, especially against a side like Burnley, someone with so much quality that can do so much damage to you. The last thing you need is to give away a goal like that and let them into the game. And it was a freak goal, and it just came in the wrong time, in the wrong place. You want to concede one of them when you're 3-0 up somewhere. Not a 0-0, not even 10 minutes on the clock. You can't really lay too much of the blame at Horvath. I mean, you can lay all the blame at Horvath, but you can't really hold it against him.
But it was
very much his fault.
Yeah, I was wondering where you were going with that then.
It's the kind of thing that a goalkeeper does almost like second nature during a game, isn't it? That he takes the ball like that, knocks it out his feet and passes it along. And it's just, he just took his eye off the ball for probably a split second and it somehow disappears under his feet. But Tom, we didn't let it impact us as a team. They bounced back, and obviously the first half, despite all that, we kind of dominated possession and we made some really good chances in that first half. How different could the game have been if Yak had scored that, which was actually quite a nice move, built from the back. Rolls plays a lovely ball through to Yak. He's through on goals and he slings it off the post. But how different could the game have been if we scored at that moment?
Yeah, it's massive. Like, especially away at Burnley. Like, if they're a team, if they get going, they can blitz you, as we then saw. And I think you bring it back to 1-1, it's a completely different game, especially when that first goal is a bit of a freak thing and you haven't been outplayed and then you get yourself back in the game after it. That's actually kind of a big moment then, and the momentum is with you. And if we get back to 1-1, we just don't get hammered in the way that we did. I know Bullet referred to it in the press conference as well. And you saw him trying to get out of jail card. It is a completely different game if we score at that point. And if you're playing against teams like Burnley, you're not going to get a huge amount of opportunities. You've got to take them. And I think that's the probably slightly worrying thing about us at the moment is we're just not clinical and we haven't been clinical for a while. So, you've got to score those opportunities. But like you said, though, like we were good first half. You look at the stats throughout the whole game. They didn't create that much more of us. We dominated the ball in large periods. So hopefully I'm gonna cling to that as a positive because despite being battered 5-0, which is a weird thing to say, we actually looked okay for large shades of that game.
Well, they beat us 5-0 on an XG of 0.8 goals.
Bonkers.
Which is both a positive and a negative, isn't it? Because there's some of those goals we never concede. The last 2 goals we'll come to were really good strikes that we gave the ball away for. The first goal is a freak goal. So only those 2 goals in the middle count, really, Ryan. And we almost scored another goal when Kanga bundled home from a corner, but he was offside. Are you encouraged that Kanga's milling around for those goals, or was it a bit silly, really, that he was caught offside in that position?
I think it's a bit of both, isn't it? I sort of when I saw it, I was like, okay, it's good that he's there and he's ready to pounce, and then you sort of see the replay where he's offside, and you're like, yeah, come on, mate, and surely get back in position. I thought it was narrower than it ended up being.
Yeah.
I mean, just to go back to the move, the swashbuckling move that led to Mate hitting the post. That's the standard. That's the sort of stuff that we need to be seeing from this team, and that's the sort of stuff we need to be seeing from Cardiff City that we haven't seen for since the days of Neil Warnock's, direct fast wingers, the flick on from Kanga, the run from Rolls, almost the finish from Mate. That's where we need to be. That's the sort of we haven't created chances like that for a long time. So it is encouraging, but it needs to happen more than once a game. And we need to be clinical, which is what Burnley were. They were clinical. And we had our chances, but didn't take them. So, yeah, I think that is definitely a reason to be positive going forward. And I'm sure we'll get onto maybe some of the negatives shortly. But yeah, Kanga, I don't think he's going to go without a goal for a long, long time. I'd like to think there'll be one around the corner, and hopefully then that'll kick something off. But yeah, you've got to be in those positions. Got to be in it to win it. And he was. Just happened to be offside.
And then let's get on to those negatives, Ryan. I'll come to Tom for the first one, and then you for the second one, Ryan. Tom, first goal. Their second goal. There's a lot to pick out there that went wrong, isn't there? I've got laborious defending for the second goal. There were 6 of our players in the box to 3 of theirs, and not a single player got out to them. Gutas kind of lets the move start off by simply flying into a challenge when he probably didn't need to. He could have just held him in the corner. Horvath tried to make a save, but it was pretty much a case of piss wrists. I don't think there was any kind of security or sanctity in those wrists. So what did you make of it? Who are you blaming? Because you could blame everyone.
Yeah, and I think you're bang on to do just that. It's typical, really. We mentioned that, it looks a bit more comfortable at the back on, I think, either the last pod or the pod before, because Gutas isn't there flying into challenges. Perhaps, the reason he's not doing it is because we're a bit more comfortable. And in this game, we weren't comfortable at this stage, and he was flying into challenges. So, he was nowhere near him, really, bringing him down. And then, Horvath, it is the poppadom wrists or piss wrists, whatever you want to call it. He just needs to get a stronger hand to it. It's as simple as that. It's not that tough a save. But like Ryan touched on it earlier, and, we'll go on to the third goal as well. Horvath was just clearly rattled. I think by that point, his head's gone. By the time the second goal goes in, you're already there kind of choking it off, really, going, okay, this is a missed opportunity. And look, we've been told off in the past for games like this where we go, look, it's a free pass. It's not a free pass. There isn't any free passes in the Championship, and I completely get that point. But if you're going to have a performance like this, where nothing's going right for your keeper, when your midfield go disappearing, where your defenders are all over the shop, I think I'd rather it be at Burnley away, where you're unlikely probability-wise to get a result anyway, than someone in and around you in the league. So hopefully now, Horvath, I think he's a strong enough character that it won't affect him going into a second game. I get why it's rattled him for this game and why he hasn't got to the second. Probably at fault somewhat for the third. It's just one of those games that he's going to have, and I think he'll be strong enough going into that Swansea game next week.
Ryan, let's talk about the third goal. I've watched it back a few times. Obviously, you can lay the criticism at Horvath's door that he's far out of his goal, trying to close down the angle when the player's outside the box. I can kind of understand why he did that when you see that Gutas looks completely lost on the left side of things. Chambers is advancing ahead of the halfway line. There's no midfield coverage. And they were through on goal sort of 40, 50 yards away from goal. It was just another calamity, wasn't it?
Yeah, this was the one goal that really, really concerned me out of the 5. I think this was, you can put the first goal down to, a freak accident. The second goal, obviously, is fault there, but maybe wouldn't have happened if Horvath wasn't completely rattled, like Tom said. And then 4 and 5 are sort of pot shots from distance, after giving the ball away. We got cut open completely here. And that's really concerning how easy we are to score against already. I mean, we're on -7 goal difference, which is quite frankly absurd at this stage of the season. And all the goals have come in different ways. If we're 3, we're -3 and we've lost 1-0 and 2-0, and all of the goals are similar to maybe the first Sunderland goal, which was a set piece. It's like, right, okay, we know what the issue is. Let's sort it out. It just feels like there isn't one sole issue here, and we're just really easy to score against, which really, really concerns me, especially because we aren't taking our chances. It just felt like it happened, and you're sort of like, where the hell was our players?
There was so much space.
There was so much space, and it's like it was like a training move. You see where maybe you've got 4 or 5 lads on the defending team and 11 on the, like they're doing a shape session in training. Really, really concerning. Obviously, Horvath completely doesn't know whether to come or go, and that hesitation leads him to sort of end up in no man's land. It's a fairly good finish, but acres of space. And I thought one of our strong points going into the season was our defence, and I think it's a huge concern for me at the moment, especially now with McGuinness probably going out the door. NG just doesn't look like the player he was last season, which maybe is harsh to say after 2 games.
He faded at the end of last season, though.
I was about to say,
He obviously had periods last year. Fading at the end of last season, which is, if it was just 2 games this season, you'd go, okay, NG isn't playing the way he was, but he'll get it back. But it's a continuation of a bad end of the season as well, which is probably more worrying.
Yeah, no, exactly. And the left back situation needs to be addressed. It's been, it's needed to be addressed for the last 2 years, really. Since Collins he came in and then had a serious injury. That was the one point I saw that when that goal went in, I was just like, oh God, we are in the shit here. The first 2 you can put down to other things, but this was just them ripping through us, and we need to cut this out sharpish, or we are going to be in a relegation scrap this season if we keep conceding goals like that.
And we can almost, Tom, talk about the 4th and 5th goal as a duo, really, because they were both the same. Aaron Ramsey gives the ball away. Burnley bring it forward, and they shoot from distance. The first goal is a great strike. I don't know why Ramsey's trying to play the ball to where he plays it for the first goal. Second goal, you might be able to say Ramsey injures himself, collapses, and gives the ball away in that sense, but it's another long-distance strike. That's just 2 goals, isn't it, when we've given up the ghost, isn't it? Like, the game's gone, we've kind of stopped playing, and we can see 2 goals like that.
Yeah, it felt like it. I think you don't mind that type of goal being scored, the actual strike. They happen, right? That's a good strike. You're not getting near it, fine. It's just the sloppy play in midfield again, just giving the ball away. And it's so early in the season to be doing this. And perhaps that's a good thing in a way, perhaps you'll iron it out. But like we were, we look at our predictions and stuff. We've gone into the season fairly confident. We've played some decent stuff. But it's a team who look kind of like out of ideas and a bit knackered already.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure how. But I'm hoping, we'll learn from a lot from this game and the Sunderland one, to be fair, because we've made quite a lot of mistakes here, a lot of sloppy passing from front to back. And, I don't want to jinx it, but it can't get much worse than that Burnley performance second half. We've seen, like, that's the wrong week to be saying that. Yeah, that's the wrong week to be saying that.
Who we played on Sunday, Tom?
Yeah, right, my bad. Yeah, right. But no, like I was saying earlier, there was positives in that first half. I am struggling to find any from that second half. It's just everything went against us. Like the shots from distance were going in, we were still giving the ball away, and I know we just went at that point. We were trying to get out of the ground nice and early because we were never in it after the second goes in. Never mind the third, fourth, and then obviously it was done by the fifth. It was late on, but yeah, it's a stinking day all round.
I had a look at some of the stats on FOTMob after the end of the game, Ryan. We're a bit of positivity for you. We're still top of the accurate passes per match, 477 so far each game. We're 19th in the table for saves per match. How many average saves do you think we're making per match, Ryan?
Oh, not a good thing to be top of that, to be honest. 6.
No, we're bottom. We're making
we're
one
bottom.
save.
We're not making any.
We're making one save per match so far, which
it's going to be less.
Saves,
it's a weird stat, but then we've conceded 5.
It's negative and positive at the same time.
Yeah.
So one.
Yeah.
When you concede 5 goals and only making 0.5 of a save, if you sort of have average it out 0.5 of a save per game, or is it? I don't know. Yeah, shit. We need shit, Ben, is what I'm trying to say.
we're making 8 fouls per match, which suggests
not enough
shite. And our expected goals is currently 1.7 per
That's
match,
higher than I thought it would be.
which is higher than I thought it was. So, Ryan,
that's a positive. That's a positive.
Despite all this, Ryan, as someone who comes on this podcast often to use it as a counselling session and a bit of therapy, are there some positives that you can take from a 5-0 loss?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, literally the only positive I can think of from that game is that one move that we made, and I think if we can keep doing that, then we'll get goals from it. But look, we've all wanted a change in style, and it's something we've all been clamoring for years. But we started to see a style change under someone like Neil Harris, and it was just like pedestrian. And we didn't have any ideas going forward. If you look at a side like Oxford, I know that they're not the top 20 guys, describe it as sort of the reverse mullet, which is business at the back, party in the front. That's what we want, really, isn't it? It's like solid defense, good, that we can build on, and then have those players in the final third that are going to create magic. And we have, in possession, we're quite solid. We can move. We're moving the ball around. We're making these passes, but we're doing nothing with those passes. The fact that we've had the majority of possession in both games this season and only created 1.7 XG and scored none. That's such a concern. And it's but it's also okay. Maybe it's a positive as well, because let's give it time. Let's hope it gets better. But we want to see results and, quickly, because you start losing the fans then. And when you start losing the fans, we all know there's only one way you go.
Up.
So, yeah, I guess there's some positives, but I haven't got many positives at the moment.
Well, I mean,
I'm trying to have patience.
We're all trying to have patience. We're all trying to have patience.
I'm trying to have patience here, and I don't want to overreact.
But
it was shit.
Well, we'll go to Twitter. As you might expect, Twitter was alight after yesterday's results. I asked for any thoughts about today's game, and we got 63 replies, which I think is pretty much a new record on our tweets. So we're going to rifle through these, and then we'll get on talking about Aaron Ramsey shortly.
We do them all. 63 tweets. You need to leave.
Yeah, I'm going to do them all. I'm going to do them all. You watch this, Ryan. You watch this.
You watch this.
Reece Jenkins, when I was watching the cricket pre-match, I was not expecting there to be a higher score than in the football. Mark Carter says Joel Colwell got another assist. Lee Johnson says, realistically, yesterday was never going to be a good day for us, but 5-0 is appalling. I'd love to say anything can happen in the derby, though. Hopefully, a couple of new signings during the week can lift the fan spirits going into it. John T.M. Williams, listed on the radio, sounds like we did okay first half, apart from the 2 errors Burnley didn't seem in it. Then the Ralls injury momentum slowed and poor tactical substitutions. Heard about O'Dowda injury, however, seems like the same problems as last year. James C. Roberts, I tried to tell myself it's only game week 2 and we have a very tough start, so don't panic. But if we want to be considered a top 10 team, we cannot be shipping so many goals. Let's hope this is a wake-up call and the boys are going up for it next week. Travis CCSC just needed to click 1 game, hopefully next week, and we'll turn a corner. Nothing to worry about as of yet. Blue Fly By, the fact we haven't beaten anyone with any conviction since Bristol at home in late October of 2023 should be ringing alarm bells. Give it time, they say. It's been 10 months of dross for the majority of the time. Tom, is that fair? Give it time, but it's already been 10 months.
I feel really sad again. No, I think, you've got to treat a new season as a reset. I think. I don't think that it's helpful. Like, to a point, right? I know we've got the same manager, we've got a lot of the same players, but like when you start going back, the most comprehensive win is back then. We've got new players in now. They're not going to care that the most comprehensive win we had since then was the Bristol one in October. Kanga's not going to know about that. He's not gone back through Soccer Base and checking our results or anything like that. So I think we are only 2 games in. It's not time to panic. There has been some positives. If this is still the case in 6-7 games time, then yeah, panic stations. I'm hitting every button on the ship. But like at the moment, I think, look, we're fine at the moment. It has been. I do get the dross point though. It does feel like we lack exciting games. We had a few more. We had some big moments last year that kind of helped Bullet, and we need a few more starting Sunday, just to get people over this little hump.
Pulley 3087, if we're aiming for top 6, then should we be losing 5-0 to another team? And then Max asks a rhetorical question, is conceding 7 goals from 8 shots on target a Cardiff record? Chris Stephen, that middle of the park is a major worry. Love Rolls, but you can't rely on him on Ramsey with their injury record. I'd argue it's a young man's game in there. No striker, unacceptable. And this shows the duality of Cardiff City fans. Connor Gill. The overaction is mad. We've played 2 good sides, one of which is Premier League quality, and for large parts of both games, we've been the better side. If we start putting some of these chances away, we'll be more than fine. A goal scorer is what we need more than anything. One for you, Ryan, a bit of an existential question. Craig Parfitt Parry, what came first, chicken or the egg?
Pass.
He couldn't think of anything in regard to the game, which would have already been covered. Oliver Rees, easy game next week. Ben Price, any kebab recommendations? He's not here, but I'm sure it would be with barbecue sauce. Matt CCFC 555, good for an hour, gifted them the goals. Horvath is beyond useless. Ramsey should be playing 90, was always going to get injured. Rolls and Rambo out for the derby, probably won't win until October. Can't be asked for next week. Overreaction, I know. Di Richards, he just said no. Matthew Hawkins, we've conceded 16 goals in our last 4 league games. Many signings since last summer have been poor, even had to be sent back. We've ended up with another bloated squad, can't defend, and we look clueless going forward. The youngest starter today was 26. It's good to be back. Tom, what's the traditional cutoff to be patient? Asks Chris Bradwick. 6, 10, 23 or 46 games?
Or 12.
Oh, he's gone for a different one. Ryan, how long are you giving Bullet?
I think the November international break tends to be the sort of litmus test. Don't know how many games that is.
It's about 10, I think.
Is it that little? I would have said closer to 20. No, not 20. Oh, shut up, Brian.
Good maths, right?
Yeah. Maybe it's what that would be like 2.5 months into the season.
Yeah, look, it's 7:30 here in Cincinnati, Ohio. I have been working for 11 days straight. I am knackered, and Cardiff have been shit. So it's a real melting pot in my brain at the moment. So yeah, really cool.
Chris Peplow says, love and support Bullet, but why did you bring off Bagan and Walcott at 3-0 down? Should have brought Rambo off, Ashford on and pushed Willock inside. Christopher Thomas, we've had 4 shots on target. We've had more possession, more passes, and we've lost 5-0. The most Cardiff City thing ever. Welsh Index thinks they need a behind closed doors game, or behind those doors players only meeting already. Wish he would drop Gutas for McGuinness and Chambers partnership, but seems he trusts him too much. And we're probably selling McGuinness. Jim Lewis played really well first half, kept the ball flowing well. Yak unlucky not to score. Really didn't deserve to be losing at that point. Horrendous mistake for the first goal mind. Management needs to figure a way to stop players from losing concentration in pivotal moments. Gareth Knight, both ends of the pitch, worrying. David Tibbs, guessing Rolls was injured, but he just doesn't cut at this level. Not mobile or skillful enough and very, very rarely fit enough to do it in the 90 minutes. Daniel Price, how many points are we going to win the league by? Stacey Williams, 0 points from the first 4 games, bottom of the league, first 2 games, bottom of the league, -7 goal difference after 2 games. Will get worse after Swansea and Borough? This one's for you, Tom. SK 1927. Does Alnwick deserve a chance in goals now? Also, does Bullet survive if we lose our first 4 league games, which is what looking likely at the moment? Do you think Alnwick deserves to come back in after that, Tom?
Not just yet. You look at the stats, I would say so, that when you've conceded 7 from 8 shots, you think, oh, it must be the keeper. But I think, he wasn't our fault in the first game. This one he was a stinker. And I think it sends the wrong message to drop him straight away. I think we didn't benefit from chopping and changing between keepers over the last few seasons. So I'd keep Horvath in, back him as your man for now. And what was the other one? But if we lose the first 4 games, like, I'm not being funny, on paper, they have 4 tough games. We lose those. It's not the end of the world. There's so many more to go. And it's not going to help at that point. I think we need to stick with Bullet at the moment. I think any calls for him out now are just, it's ludicrous, really. It's far too early in the season to be doing stuff like
that. Deo says we aren't starting the right players. We arguably aren't playing the correct formation, and it infuriates me when we don't show any passion. And we just got hammered 5-0. Don't just stand there after the game, high-fiving each other and smiling, you bunch of half-wits. Lee Spear, these are the time where everyone needs their bottle. It was never going to be easy. We've played 2 good sides and played well in large parts. It's going to be okay. We're into the positive side now. Gareth Davis says we'll be fine. Then we're into the negative. Jump says it's going to be a long season. Gareth Jones says one massive positive for me, my stream didn't work. Kieran Evans, regardless of him going off injured, why is Ramsey still on the pitch when the game is already gone? Needs to be managing his minutes, and then the worst happens, not to mention he gave the ball away twice in 2 minutes for 4 and 5-0. Reece Williams says Turkish tactics have no place in the Championship. If anyone here has watched Turkish football, then you'll know what I mean. It's all slow and lacks any intensity. There's a reason why no English clubs go looking in Turkey for a new manager. Liam Brown says no plan B. Kieran says no thank you. And Ollie James says funny that. Kane 49745 says what would a 3-4-0 drubbing next week mean for Bullet? Ryan, does that bear thinking about?
Oh, honestly, this is why we'll get on the Swansea game. This is why that last Swansea game being 3rd this season is just horrific. We do get a battering next week. You started to see people turn on Bullet already. It will be the beginning of the end if we lose next week, I think. If we lose in the way that we've lost against Swansea in the past, which is worrying.
Kind of answers the next question from Bluebirds Past, really, which is 2 really tough games with 2 to come. We can conceivably have 0 points after 4 games. How twitchy is Tan going to get them? Sam Hardwell says, any thoughts? He's got 5 of them. Simbo says, can we have Perry NG back in goals now? CCFC21 says, Ramsey should retire and let Colwell play. Waste of time. Alex Wysom says, start Alnwick against the Jacks. Sideshow Biff says, at least it wasn't 6. Herrero says, disgraceful. Gareth Dunning says, simple, today is gone. We all know what happened. They need to play for the shirt and win next week. Couldn't care less about possession or performance. Win the football match. This one's for you, Ryan. Perry's fan account says, opinions on Americans, lads. You're there at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I've met some lovely Americans in the past. I've got some very good American friends. But, let's be honest. They put up Joe Biden and Donald Trump as the options for president. I think that says a lot about the nation of America and the people of America. I rest my case.
MJCCFC says it's so deflating right now, and the collapse towards the end of the game was embarrassing, but we just need things to click as well and a bit of luck, and we can still be a top side the way we're playing in spells. Ross Monroe sacked on Monday 26 if they lose in the derby. Forever Blue 86 says shit. Matt CCFC says not the Cardiff we knew from last season, no fight at all, shit. Alan Griffith says talk about the WWE or something. Terry Hansen says, yeah, Bullet out. That was stupid management. You get Rolls injured. You could have 2 subs, 3-0 down. You leave Ramsey on, and guess what? Anyone can see it coming. He had a yellow also. 2 clown emojis. And then Delta12 says, talk about sheep, not football. And Bill 131417, I think, has a bit of a mental breakdown on Twitter because he sent 3 tweets. Relegate us now. Boo, sack him. And he's ducking shit. One question I didn't cover off was from Adam James, friend of the pod, and I just thought we could have a nice chat. What are your plans for the week, Tom? What's going on in Australia this week?
What have I got? I'm meeting a wedding planner.
Huh?
Yeah. I'm picking up my Australian driver's license.
Ooh, look at
Yeah.
me.
Again, a haircut. Could be my last. We never know.
Always a danger with you.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna find a game of footballogy to go to. So there we go. There's my week.
Ryan, your week?
Finals day here at the Cincinnati Open tomorrow. So flat out in the work.
I think we should say, right, you're working out there, aren't you? You're not just
working,
a mad tennis man who's got the Cincinnati.
Yeah, no.
You're at home thinking.
That would be mental. Yeah, I'm working on the tennis tour at the moment. So, in Cincinnati. And then fly home Tuesday, land Wednesday, just
Drink
sort of
on
enjoy jet lag for a couple of days. And then we go again on the weekend. Swansea away. I'm not going to go because I'm a sane human being. And like you, Ben, I will be watching from a distance. So I can just walk away and get on with my day if it all goes tits up. Because I've been there too many times and I've been hurt too many times. And getting back on that bus and going back east kills me every time. So I've learned my lesson.
Yeah. Keep me awake.
If I wasn't...
Bank holiday Sunday as well, it's like one of the great days of the year.
If I hadn't committed to going, I think I'd watch it in a pub where I'd ask them to put it on the furthest away TV that I could, so I could sit on the other side of the pub and then just go over every now and again and have a look and go, oh, what's the score? We're losing 2-1. Good. Yeah, good. Yeah. Instead, I've got to travel to Cardiff on Saturday night to then get up early to travel to the CCS on Sunday morning to go to the Liberty or the SwanCon, as you call it now, I believe, to watch us invariably what's the word I'm looking for? Plod our way to a 2-0 loss at the Swansea City Stadium. And I think Gutas is going to get sent off. I think he's going to want to make up for what he's done over the last few days, and he's going to kick someone. Anyway, we'll get to the Swansea game. We'll get to the Swansea game to round it off. Can I ask
a question, please, to see if you've got a bit of time in the next day or two? Can you put all those tweets into like a word cloud generator?
Oh yeah,
I'd love because like the middle word would just be shit. I think that was the word.
100%.
Like a big shit, and then like around it like out, sack, relegation. I think it
kebab.
So good. Yeah, kebab.
Kebab. Yeah, I will do that.
Yeah, please,
I'll do that.
I want to see the word cloud. I think that would be a nice little feature.
I was going to talk about rumors and stuff, but I don't have the energy to talk about who could be coming in. So let's have a serious conversation, boys. And I'm going to get serious about this, about Aaron Ramsey. Ryan, you can provide the Welsh perspective. Tom, you can provide the Cardiff perspective. When we signed Aaron Ramsey over a year ago, we expected everything from him. And he started last season brilliantly. But the injuries last season seemingly have taken their toll. And he doesn't look the same player in the opening games of the season. Tom, obviously yesterday, this is brought about by his errors in yesterday's game. Two really uncharacteristic passing errors. The second one that led to him injured, and we finished the game, I think, with 10 men because he'd taken himself off injured. Are you worried about Aaron Ramsey so far this season?
I think there's like two sides to this. There's one side which is 2 games, calm down your melons, and then is the other side which is just like, is he a player on the wane? But like, I think at the moment he's still worth the risk, even if we are worried about him, because if there is still something there, then you've got to put him on the pitch. I think where Bullock got it wrong, we mentioned it earlier on, was keeping him on for that 90 minutes. He said he's going to manage his time, and he didn't manage his time. We were out of the game, like in the middle of that second half, so bring him off. You bring, the substitutions were a little bit wild considering the situation. If he is a player that's going to have his moments, then put him in the best situation where he can have those moments. And we didn't do that on the weekend. We should be resting him. But look, we don't know if he's not the player he was yet because he was injured for the whole of last year. So I go back to it's only 2 games in your melons point. Let's give the man a chance. Let's give him a run of games. That's what he needs to probably get back up to speed because, preseason isn't real football. I know you're playing European giants like Penabont, but you're not even playing in your home stadium. You're playing on the Leckwith track across the road. You're not even matching normal conditions and stuff like that. So, let's give Ramsey a chance. And the fact that I'm going a bit of a rant, but the fact that some of our fans, the fact that some of our fans are saying retire him now, he's a waste of space. Come on. I don't care if he genuinely was. The vitriol towards the man, he's an absolute footballing icon in Wales, and there still might be something there. We've got to give the man a break. He doesn't need us spouting shit like that, especially going into a derby game as well. We are the best set of fans for just making it harder for ourselves and turning on our players and being miserable. I know all football fans are like that, but Christ, we are 2 games in. I know it hasn't been good. Let's not turn on our star man. Let's get behind him and hope we get something out of it. Because if we do see it, then we're going to reap some benefits by the end of the season if we get those moments from him.
Ryan, we kind of touched briefly on it yesterday, but about Ramsey for Wales and all this kind of stuff. Obviously, we've got the new manager in Craig Bellamy. He's kind of signaling a new way of playing, the kind of high press from the front, not talking about positions rather than roles within the team. Does this Ramsey who's playing now, and we have to talk about it because we're a podcast and all this kind of stuff, does this Ramsey figure for you in that new kind of Wales team going forward, or are you worried for his position there as well?
I think I'm worried for his position in like a starting 11 sense. Just because I think we've got quite an abundance of players who can play sort of in that forward role. And I think with Cardiff and Wales, I think he still has something to offer. But he can't be the main man that you rely on anymore for Cardiff or Wales. I think we need to have a conversation, or the club needs to have a conversation about what role he plays this season.
Mm-hmm.
I think what's really frustrating is we've got someone like Ruben Colwill who fans really want to see come good and really want to have that opportunity and be our main man. And it's his pathway to the first team is almost being blocked by Aaron Ramsey. I think we need to adapt Ramsey's role because obviously he's probably amazing off the pitch. His experience, his knowledge is fantastic. If you think like if we're having a game where we're sort of got 55-60% possession against a team who are playing a low block and we can't break them down with 20 minutes to go, bringing on Aaron Ramsey to unlock that door is, when maybe Colwill's, done what he can do, or even bringing him on to play in a 10 with Colwill, that's where I see Ramsey. On the other hand, with Cardiff, and maybe not so much with Wales, because I think obviously there's a higher standard of player in Wales. Is he too good for the rest of the team? Is he trying too much to overcompensate because we lack quality around him? Is he trying things that maybe he wouldn't if he trusted players around him? I don't know if that's something. It's like when you play five-a-side and there's one guy who is much better than everyone else and he tries to do everything and eventually he can't do everything. Those passes, maybe if he trusted players, he wouldn't have to try and do too much. I don't know. I think there's an element of both of those things that I've just said that I think his role he can't be our 90-minute number 10, play it week in, week out. That, we know he isn't capable of doing that. And obviously already he's injured. If it's 20 minutes here, 60 minutes there, 15 minutes there, we've got to manage his minutes because he still has something to offer. Someone of that quality can still do it in the Championship. But you cannot rely on him to be that talisman. He's got to be a luxury player that we can bring on in the right moments or start in the right moments but not finish. When you've got 5 subs now.
There's no excuse.
There's no excuse you can have starters and finishers in games. And whether Ramsey becomes a finisher now, I think that's what we have to do going forward. You can't. It's like Bale, Bale at the end of the World Cup. He would have been much more effective maybe coming off the bench for half an hour than starting and fade in by the 30th, 40th minute. It's such a difficult one because the excitement was there when he arrived, and we were all so excited. And I think I knew deep down that he wasn't going to come in and make a storm to the Premier League. But it's horrible. It's horrible because seeing our favorite ever players getting old and sort of breaking down is not very nice. But I think he still has a role to play. It's just finding that and being brave enough to sort of make sure, put him into that role.
Tom, does that then throw up questions about the way that he's managed by Bullet? Obviously, we've already talked about the game management. He probably shouldn't have been on the pitch for the last sort of 20, 25 minutes of yesterday's game. Obviously, there were other injuries, but, when the game's gone, he should be coming off. And then it's obviously led to his injury. But with players now like Colwill, who's getting more and more minutes and wants to be obviously playing more and more, with Alex Robertson coming in, is it now time that we start thinking about how, as Ryan says, his role within that team? And do we start... for Sunday's game, for example, if Ramsey is injured, do we start thinking about how we can play without him? Because he's not going to be there forever, is he?
Yeah, 100%. Like, we've got the options to rotate, so let's rotate. And it's not like we're rotating with just people we've got in the squad. We're rotating with quality. Colwill, Robertson, Ramsey, that's 3 quality players there that were getting to a lot of starting 11s across the championship. So let's use them. I think the manager minutes thing is paramount, because once that game's gone against Burnley, you want Ramsey going into that Swansea game. That's the type of head that you want in that game, an old head who gets it. So, a bit of responsibility, a lot of responsibility is going to go on Bullet for that one. And, like I said, like Ramsey, he's an unbelievable player, but like you touched on earlier, he's an unbelievable person to have around the dressing room. And if he's getting niggly injuries, he's not going to be the same person as well. There's only so upbeat you can be when you're constantly missing games. Like, that's no use to anyone. It's no use to him, and it's no use to the players around him. So you want the best out of him while you can get the best out of him. So, because I want him on that pitch starting against Swansea. That's the game where you do want him starting. And like, when you're playing Preston at home on a Tuesday, possibly not. But when you're going into a derby game on a weekend, they're going to look at that team sheet and there'll still be a bit of fear knowing that what Aaron Ramsey can, what he can produce ahead of someone like Robertson. There's a psychological edge to having Ramsey in and around the squad. But if he's getting niggly injuries, that psychology shifts again, because people are like, he's not the player he once was. We need to kind of hide that side away from people. We don't want to be kind of showing our hand on that one. We need to be playing him in bursts and making sure the bursts are against the right teams at the right time, at the right part of the season.
Ryan, talking about injuries more broadly, obviously Ramsey went off injured yesterday. Rolls went off injured yesterday. I think Bullet took Chambers and O'Dowda off to kind of manage their minutes because they took knocks as well. Going into Sunday's game, which we'll get to in more detail, having that amount of worries at this stage of the season, does that worry you at this stage of the season? We're already missing Isaac Davis, Keona Tete, Jamilu Collins for upwards of 2 months each. Obviously, Isaac Davis up to 4 months. We've now got 4 potential injury worries going into next weekend. We're only 2-3 games into the season if you include the Carabao Cup. What are they doing in training?
Yeah, it's a huge concern. Huge concern. I think it also comes down to like Bullet substitutes. That's been something that one of the criticisms leveled against him for the last since he's taken charge. Even looking back at that Ipswich game early last season, making those changes completely. I just don't know. He's not very good at in-game management.
Mm-hmm.
And we've had a lot of big injuries since he's come in. If you think about O'Dowda, such a long time, came back, got injured again. Ramsey. Came back, got injured again quite quickly.
McGuinness missed the end of the season.
McGuinness missed a long chunk of the season. Collins sort of just broke down in the end, at the end of last season. It's a huge concern, and it's only so many times that you can sort of say, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. But if things keep happening, if you keep smelling shit, check your shoe.
Pants then. Yeah.
I was say pants.
Yeah, or pants. I think that's something to keep an eye on going forward. And I don't really know what you change, because I'm not a sports scientist. I'm not in that game. I don't know. Is he overworking them? It doesn't look like he's overworking them, because they all look bloody off the boil. Or maybe he is overworking them, and that's why they're all knackered. I don't know. That's a question for Errol Bullet. But as a fan, you look at it and you go, yeah, this isn't sustainable if we're losing players this easily, this quickly.
Well, I mean, let's get on to talking about the Swansea game because it's the earliest it's coming in a season that I can remember. And there's probably a couple of things to talk about in this game. Obviously, there's what the team are going to play and the injuries, but also Laurie, friend of the podcast, Laurie Paradikis, so I will be going to the game with next Sunday, made the question in the group chat, Tom, about, it's the 125th anniversary of the club. They started the season going big on the 1-2-5 stuff. We're playing against Swansea in the first derby of the season. We know that the club come in for criticism when it comes to how they approach these games on the comms. We're 2 losses into the season. We're 7-0 on aggregate. Are the club going to bury their heads? What are they going to do to kind of recognise the history of this fixture without making them look stupid? It's an impossible question, isn't it, Tom? Because the club instinct is to hide away from this.
To be honest, it looks like our kind of homage to the 125 is to concede 125 goals this year. I think that's been the one we're going for so far.
Good old-fashioned joke, that.
Oh, good humour, clean
humour. Good clean humour.
I feel sorry for the club on this one, right? Because they've got nothing to build on. We absolutely hammer them on building up a game. But full well if we start building it up after conceding 7 goals in 2 games, there'll be someone putting "not now, lads" underneath it or something like that. And, it's the same cliches we do every time. We'll have the same Swansea fans tuning in after we lose 2-0 again. Just while we're there going, "Oh, Swansea just get it more than us." We'll roll the same stuff out.
Oh, we don't have to record a new podcast. We'll just play last year.
Put it straight out. Yeah, people loved it last year. Let's do it again.
Yeah,
but
all Swansea fans.
But no, I don't know. I think we could do a lot more building up to it. But we've actually got a game we've won now in recent memory. That we can kind of at least think back to and stuff like that. And I'm sure we will, because to be honest with you, these first 2 games of the season will be quickly forgotten about if we get a result down in Swansea. And we can bitch and moan as much as we want now, saying, pull it out. If we pull off a win down there, even if it's off Chambers' ass in the first minute and his back's against the wall, if we get a result, we'll be absolutely over the moon. So, cock a hoop. So, yeah, if you're a club, I suppose just build it up. Just try and distract people because we won't be thinking about the Burnley game for the next 5 or 6 days. There's no doubt about that. All we'll be thinking about for every waking moment. And when I'm trying to sleep, and when I wake up with cold sweats in the middle of the night, will be that Swansea game. So let's play some highlights in the past years and build it up again. Because we've been trying to play in that heritage pre-season, so let's carry on a bit now.
Ryan, I can't remember if we've ever had you on in the build-up to a Swansea game. So let's ask you. How do you feel about these games? Obviously, we've talked about it ad nauseum on this podcast, me, Tom, and Ben, about our dread, then that kind of sickening excitement that you think, oh, maybe this year's different, and then obviously the crushing disappointment. But Ryan, how do you feel as someone who's from a bit further west in Wales? Obviously, Tom's from the
west is Tom.
No, I said it.
He's in the Midland. Yeah,
I am in the Midlands. Yeah, but the nomad. Well, it's always been very Cardiff strong. I think no matter what people say in recent years, Bridgend is a Cardiff town. But in recent years, there's no other feeling than dread going into these games. I have zero confidence in us as a football club. And the timing of this is just, it's just terrible. Last year, what was it? It was just after the international break or just before the first international break. Bullet had come in. We had a few okay results, good performances. And there was a bit of, whereas now it's like we played a team that are going to be in and around the playoff hunt and a team who are probably going to get promoted with a big old points haul. Terrible way to start the season. Swansea had a very disappointing start against Middlesbrough. I don't think they registered a shot on target against another side who are probably going to be in the hunt for automatics, definitely in the hunt for playoffs. But then they've come up against Preston side who are in disarray without a manager. Twice in 2 weeks, the person in charge has walked away after the game.
Yeah.
And they've had a really positive result. They've had new players turn up, score goals, have good performances. And it's like, oh, for God's sake, it was, it's the wrong time for them to be, to have that little bit of momentum. It's like, right, we're looking like we're good under Luke Williams. let's take it into the Cardiff game. Why are they the ones going into this game all the time with that positivity, with that momentum, when we very rarely are? And then you look at our record in the derby over the last decade, and it's just like, oh, well, of course we're not going to have any confidence going into this game. Even if we'd won both of the last 2 games, I'd probably have no confidence going into this game. We're just shit against Swansea. No matter what we do, no matter what, we only beat Swansea last time because they had an absolutely piss poor manager that was just, not meant for them. We won that game because they were worse than us that day. We didn't win that game because we were better than them, if that makes sense. I have zero confidence in this. I'd be surprised if we score. I'd be surprised if, it'll be 2-3-0. And I don't want to sort of dampen people's moods with this.
Well, too late, Ryan.
Yeah. I spent 60 quid on my ticket on Friday.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people listening to this probably think it deep down, and I'm sure you both know it deep down.
No.
That the likelihood of us coming away from this game with a positive result is low. I have zero confidence in it. And I'm just sort of, what's the word?
A miserable bastard.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a given.
Morose.
There's a sort of a rule in my life.
Melancholy.
No, what's the word? Not caring for anything.
Apathetic.
That's the word I'm looking for.
You were so apathetic you couldn't find a word for it.
Yeah, I'm just completely apathetic to this game. And you talk about like wanting to build up and stuff. I don't want to hear anything this week. I don't want to hear anything from Cardiff City. I'll tune in next week where I'll turn the notifications for the club off on Twitter until about 1:30 or whenever, and an hour and a half before kickoff. So I get the team lineup. I look at the team lineup and go, all right, then here we go. Let's give it a go. And then within about 5-10 minutes, I will completely lose any hope that I have, and then I'll forget about it once the final whistle goes and start thinking about other things.
Christ.
Oh, so Tom, you want to counter
happy doggy week, everyone?
Any positives you want to put across?
I'm looking forward to it.
You're on the other side of the world, Tom. You can just crack on. Pop a shrimp on the fucking Barbie as soon as the game is done.
All right, use the stereotypes. No, don't like shrimp. Actually, they're delicious. But I just think, like you were saying there, it's just the way the fixtures have fallen. Right, they have been lucky that they got to play an absolutely basket case of Preston at the moment, and they've scored a couple of goals. And yes, a 5-0 thumping is not ideal, but we did beat them last year. And I know you said they were just worse than us, but I thought we were decent in that second half. I think the one thing that does worry me is we don't turn up down in Swansea. I think if this was in Cardiff, it would be a different story. Yeah, because we could hark back to that result from last year. I think that's the thing. That kind of sticks in the grill a little bit, but. They had 0 XG in that first game. Let's not forget that when they played an organised Middlesbrough team. They struggled to break down a team there. They struggled to create down chances, and they looked all at sea in that first game a little bit. So they've still got that in them. They're not world beaters this season. They're a club who their fan base is worried. Yes, they had a good result in the weekend, but that's one result. And we have only played 2 games. We have got a good squad. We've got decent players. And the positive angle is if we do get something from this, it's an awful time to play them in the season unless you win that game. And if you win that game, it's an absolute game changer. And the momentum is with you again. And especially because of where it is. Yes, I think we will be underdogs going into this game. But let this be this time. Bullet has experienced despair down there now and a shit result. He won't want that for his own pride. We've got the likes of Aaron Ramsey, Rawls. I know we've said this in the past, but they won't want to do this again. And we've got exciting youngsters as well. So I think it comes down to Bullet's selection a little bit. I think we've got to be bold because sitting on the fence of this fixture has not worked for us. Trying to stick in the game early doors has not worked for us. We can't let them build momentum. We can't let them have chances early. They're always buoyant. They pipe the music in through the Tannoy systems and stuff like that. We need to get at them, and we've got players to do it. Get Willock running at them. Start Colwell, get him running at them. Let's scare them early doors. If we get an early goal in this game, I reckon we could comfortably win it. So I've still got, yes, I think they're favourites, and they probably will shade it. But there's no way we're out to this game, and I there's a chance we could really shock them down there.
Well, I will be feeling annoyed about it and just depressed about the game up until about Saturday. And then when I'm on the bus on Sunday morning, I'll be excitedly giddy going into the stadium. And then when I leave the bus, it could be the greatest day of my life if we win. Sorry, Dora, if you're listening. Getting married to you was the best day of my life. Second greatest day of my life. I've just got a sneaking feeling, and I probably say this every year, that we're going to get a result down there. And that's why I bought the tickets. Like, in my mind, I was going into, obviously the tickets went on sale on Friday. I was going, I'm not doing it this year. It's bank holiday Sunday. I've got better things to be doing. I don't want to give up because
haven't.
Oh, I know, that's a lie. It's not just one day, is it? It's like the traveling down the day before. It takes, and it's my train to Cardiff alone is 100 quid. So I've already spent 160 quid going. Someone's going to clip this up if we lose.
Ben, what's that written on your forehead?
Is it mug?
Mug.
No, Ryan. It's not about being a mug. It's about being a committed football fan. It's an optimist. It's sad fucker. But like, I can't risk not being there if we're going to win. Do you know what I mean? Like,
exactly. I'm coming back.
That's how I used to feel. That's how I used to feel when I'd go every year.
You've had the joy beaten out of you, Ryan.
I have. Yeah. I am one of the worn down veterans.
You're younger than us.
Yeah, you're younger than us.
I've done my days.
I'm a grizzled veteran, and I've still got a little bit of that candle burning inside me. We need to wrap up because I need to go in a minute. If the listeners are worrying, I've got a dinner to go to. What's your team, Ryan? Obviously, we've already talked about the injuries. Are you persevering with Ramsey if he's fit? Are you bringing Robertson in? Is Colwell getting a go? Are you going bold or are you going soft?
In any other game, I would bring Robertson in and start. But I just think giving someone their debut in the derby is a little bit risky, especially coming off the back of an injury. Especially, away as well. I think was someone mentioned in the Twitter comments that we didn't have a starter under 26 on Saturday. We've got this batch of young players now that we haven't had for maybe since the days of Lenny Lawrence that we aren't using properly. Like, let's see more of them. I'd rather us look at that Southampton game last year as a prime example. We had young, hungry players on that pitch rather than these sort of like grizzled mercenaries that are, late 20s that are just in it for another contract. I want to see more of those lads, and maybe starting them against Swansea is risky, but I think the defence probably picks itself if O'Dowda's fit. But if O'Dowda isn't fit, let's see Louis Giles start. Be bold, And then the midfield,
I guess. And put Kabakio on at least, or Conte, or something like that.
Exactly. That's another option. And then you've got in midfield, obviously, I think Siopis plays regardless. And then you have Colwell and, Eli King. Why bloody not? Do you know what I mean? What we got to lose? We've lost there a million times already. Let's be bold, and then the forward line as well.
Let's redemption arc.
No, let's see. Let's see more of Ashford. Let's see, Reindorf on the bench after his good performance. The fact that maybe Reindorf wasn't on the bench on Saturday is just like, where's the reward for impressing? Bullet doesn't gamble enough, and maybe that's what we need. We need to see more bold gambles. So I would like to see. I would like to see more of the young lads, and Colwell has to start for me.
Tom,
think he's the one.
Over to you. Pick your team.
I think Robertson's an interesting one because he's the type of bloke who come on and kick the shit out of someone, and that could go. He'll either add a bit of impetus and a bit of edge into our team, or we'll end up with a sending off early doors again. Like, it could go either way, and it's the same with some of the youngsters. But I agree with Ryan on the bold side of it. I think having someone like Ryan Duff on the bench to come on, and scare them late on with that pace and a bit of trickery might be something that we need just to unlock them, because we haven't had that in recent years.
Like Tanner was last game.
Exactly right. Like Bullett's got plenty wrong with substitutions, but he got it right that day, and that was the difference. And I think that's what could be huge down in Swansea as well. So put some of those exciting players on the bench, maybe not start them. But, I'd love to see Ramsey start if he is fit as well. I think it's the ideal game for him. But we've got to try something different. This, tired kind of players who've done it before thing isn't quite working for us. So, yeah, let's get some of those youngsters in there and ruffle a few feathers.
I think there's going to be a Callum Robinson redemption arc. I think that's going to be great.
I'd love to see
score. I'd love to see it. Predictions then, Ryan? Loss?
2-0 Swansea, I think. And, with a heavy heart.
Tom?
3-0 Cardiff.
I'm going to go in the middle. I think we're going to beat them 2-0. I think we're going to win. I've got to go. I'm going to the bloody game.
That's the way. I didn't even do the middle.
No, it is. 2-0 loss, 3-0 win.
It's just less than me.
So I go 1-1 draw then.
No, just don't lie.
I would love a 1-1 draw.
I would take a 1-1 draw.
I would take a 1-1 draw now. All right, fine. We've settled it. 1-1 draw we'll all be happy with, but me and Tom think we're going to win and Ryan's miserable. So, right, that's it. Another podcast done. It was a miserable one. Thanks, Ryan. But we've all had some kind of...
Guys, let's clear this up now.
We know we're getting.
I have, you know what you're getting. You keep asking me, and it's a pleasure every time. But why is it always on the back of a proper existential,
it's because the fates align.
And there's never not one.
Well, that's the thing. Why is it happening so much? Someone's got to be. You're all here with, we're going to beat Swansea 2-0, beat Swansea 3-0. Sometimes you need a dose of reality, boys, and I am the dose of reality. And look, I want to be proven wrong more than anyone else. I want to be proven wrong.
If we win on Sunday, Ryan, you could come back on and you could show us your positive side.
Honestly, that would mean the world to come on after a really positive result. I want to be getting carried away with you. We win 2-0 on the weekend or 3-0 on the weekend. I'll come on next week and I'll talk about how even 1-0. Yeah, I'll talk about how Errol Bullock is going to be, he's going to get the Man United job next month when Eric Ten Hag is sacked inevitably, and we're going to go up. And Vincent Tan is the savior of everything. I will, drink that Kool-Aid next week if we win, and that's a promise. And there will be no negativity from me. If we lose, probably for the best that we don't have you. You don't have me on.
Wow. I mean, I look forward to it when we do get the inevitable 3 points at the Swancombe Stadium. It's going to be a good podcast if Ryan comes back on. And thank you everyone for listening and joining us on The View from the Ninian. Twitter.com/VFT Ninian for all our tweets. Ko-fi.com/VFT Ninian if you want to give us some money. Tom, Ryan, enjoy your respective days. Well, Tom, you're going to bed. Ryan, enjoy the Cincinnati Open. I'm off to have dinner. I'll see you later.
Have a good dinner, Ben.